All right. Time for real time. Down, 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 down.
Yeah, well, it's Mother's Day Sunday, isn't that? Yeah. Do the right thing. Pick up the phone and call your mom. Or if you're Gen Z, just go upstairs. I kid the kids. They love it. And Christy Nome, her kids got her a lot. What? Everybody
wow. You say her name and people laugh.
From a shoe store, her favorite brand, Hush Puppies.
Oh, man.
Let's get to what you came here to hear about. Trump posted, "The whole world is watching." Oh. I hate to tell you, Don, not even your family is watching. Stormy had a lot to get off her chest. I mean, she... serious. And now, of course, the looming question is, will Trump take the stand? And we know for sure he will not because he said he would.
He shouldn't. I wouldn't. That guy's not really likable. The jury's going to hate him even more, especially in New York.
Honey. But now Trump's team is pushing for a mistrial. Oh, and by the way, mistrial is also Trump's drag name. And I think he wants to go to jail because it would make him a martyr. He's practically begging the judge to put him in jail. There's a switch. Lock me up. He said if Trump does go to jail, he's going to work out a lot, and he'll come out ripped. You're right. I could just stop with that. But no, Jesse Waters said he's going to come out ripped with a jail bod.
Oh, my God.
Oh, gosh. Fox election coverage, your number one source for gay fan fiction. Bobby Kennedy. Right. So this
the brainworm.
Revealed some medical news this week. He said he's fine to run, but full disclosure, a worm did eat his brain.
When you say it like that, man. Tequila worm.
We have Frank Bruni and Douglas Murray are here. But first up, he's a contributing writer at The Atlantic, author of the bestseller Fast Food Nation, and producer of the documentary Food Inc. 2, which is available to stream now. Eric Schlosser. Eric.
I got a feeling I know what this guy's going to talk about. And I swear we can't eat anything, man. Everything's poison.
I want to ask you, well, let's go to that first, because it is on my mind. Not in my mind, I hope. But, I mean, the bird flu is now in the milk.
No.
How do you get a worm in your brain? Let's just go right there.
We have avian influenza being spread by cows. And scientists had no idea until a few weeks ago that this influenza could even be in cows at all.
Jesus Christ.
Birds to the cow. Pharmaceuticals very high up, but nobody higher than food.
Well, the food companies spend more on lobbying than the defense industry.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
right.
It's certainly not good for the animals.
Right.
It's not good for the workers who work in the factory.
Right.
So who's it good for?
The farm workers.
And it's not good for the consumer. It's not good for the person who eats this food.
It's good for a handful of enormous corporations
that
have basically taken over our food supply in the last 40 years. The biggest seller of coffee in the United States is a German company, not Starbucks, but they sell it under all these different brands, so you think that there's choice. But it's really an illusion of choice.
And I feel like the problem at bottom is that food is too delicious.
Oh,
That's
God.
why people don't care.
Yeah.
Is that we're seduced by the food. The Trojan horse is in our stomach.
Right.
So, I mean, we have these, I mean, you mentioned it.
Cigarettes are great, too, by the way. I used to smoke, and I mean,
I did too.
I love them. Canned corn. You know, they cook the corn, they add some salt and some water. It's in the can, you open it up, you eat it. That's just fine. An ultra-processed...
That's fine?
Yeah. I mean, frozen vegetables, canned vegetables, as long as they don't have all kinds of additives, that's healthy.
I disagree vehemently.
Really?
Well, vegetables have to be eaten fresh, or it's just shit.
He's the expert. Come on.
No, but and who knows what they're doing to our body, but now... increasingly, people are concerned that they have all kinds of bad health effects.
They're giving it cancer.
Obesity.
More than likely.
And maybe all kinds of neurological problems.
Right.
Now, I'm not an expert on Ozempic, but I think that for people who are severely obese already, What's the choice? Gastric band surgery or terrible health problems or taking this drug? We don't know what the long-term implications of being on this drug is going to be, but the long-term implications of being obese are really bad. The people who probably shouldn't be injecting this drug are people who are maybe a little too vain and are probably already slender and want to be even more slender. But for people who are really unhealthy because of their weight, it may be a good thing. But what we need to do is prevent children from becoming obese. And that means in schools we need to be
start early, man.
Real foods, not these ultra-processed foods. Right now,
or at least have them work it out.
In the American diet, the typical American child is getting 60 to 70% of their calories from ultra-processed food. And that's just a recipe for disaster. And you know, the latest science is that you should be having 30 different types of plant in 1 week because it's so much better to get your vitamins from real foods.
Yeah, but plants ain't cheap.
To get them from supplements or...
The very first editorial I did here, well, I don't think it was here. It was in my backyard.
I remember that.
We were sent home.
Yeah. But factory farms are a crime against nature. And I'm not a vegan. I'm not a vegetarian. These are sentient creatures.
Okay, so what is the alternative?
Commodities.
Are people starving? And if they are...
You know, Bill doesn't believe that.
First, I've been in Israel and Gaza for the last 6 months since the war began. I can't speak to whether anyone is starving. I mean, it's a bad situation in Gaza because Hamas started a war. I mean, it's very strange. A year before I was in Ukraine, I was with the Ukrainian armed forces when they were retaking land from the Russians, and nobody was saying, oh, hold on, don't win too much. Everyone was egging them on. Every Western
but they weren't killing women and children. At least not intentionally.
Armed forces.
In Ukraine.
The Israelis never allowed to win.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Never allowed to win.
What do we attribute that to? Why is that anti-Semitism? Would you say?
Oh, God.
Why they have a
You know, for some reason, I think anti-Semitism is one of the reasons. Whenever Israel is involved in a conflict, the whole world goes bananas. And you can't even have a Eurovision Song Contest without it becoming an Israel-Gaza thing.
Because they're committing war crimes. Maybe that's why.
Everyone gets obsessed with this conflict. And I think one reason is, by the way, is because a lot of people, Democrats and Republicans and people of all stripes have said for a generation, until the Palestinian-Israeli issue is solved, there won't be peace in the Middle East.
Hamas crossed the border, invaded, and the savagery, the brutality was incredible. We have to have a conversation now about the magnitude of the retaliation, about how many civilian casualties there are.
There you go.
Whether this is indiscriminate, but let us not forget how this began.
Well, you could say that October 7th is what kicked it off, but you could go back, so many years, like all the back and forth they've had before. Let's say when the United States went into Afghanistan. Now, why didn't the U.S. just wipe out every village? Men, women, and children, just kill them all, destroy it all, the whole country, level it. Because you don't do that. You try to find, you put boots on the ground and you try to find your target, which are the terrorists, the insurgents. And that's what Israel's done it before. I can remember the Olympics. And they took hostages and they killed a bunch of Israeli Olympians. I think it was the 70s. And they went undercover. They found who was responsible and killed them. They could do that now. They just don't want to. They want to put as much pressure, military pressure, on the Palestinians as a whole, hoping that Hamas will never, ever try this again. But that ain't going to happen.
Boko Haram stole 300 school children in Nigeria.
Bring back our girls.
And everyone, bring back our girls, everywhere. Where has been the celebrity response, the Hollywood response, the decent people response, any reasonable person response of bring back the Jewish children? Where is it?
And what about, man, oh God, the innocent Palestinian children?
I mean, who the hell is so badly brought up that they honestly believe that if they holler on a corner of a campus in America, the war cabinet in Israel is going to stop? Like, maybe Benjamin Netanyahu, whatever you think of him, does not take
It
his
worked with
lead
Vietnam.
from a 19-year-old student.
There's no bigger whiny little bitch than you know who.
Those are your words, not
My words, and I said them a million times, and I'll repeat them a million times. Does this reflect America in 2024? Who raises a child to feel this way about the country right now? I keep saying, can we just live in the year we're living in? Not whitewash the past, but live in the present. I mean, that someone feels, you're at UCLA. Who's oppressing you?
Well, it's not.
In my opinion, what some people call oppression is thought of by them as racism. What racism is now is just people being prejudiced based on your skin color, based on your ethnicity. It's just an assumption of your character. Some people call that being racist anyway. So how do you fix that in 2020, like right now in 2024, like Bill Maher said?
I was watching a video of Robert Bork the other day from, I think, the early 1990s, and he was talking about radical egalitarianism. He was inveighing against it. That's just wokeness with more syllables, right? So the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Also, we haven't reversed it. It's just got worse.
Well, I mean, we have an ex-president, maybe to be a next president, who's the victim in chief, right? Whose entire political currency is.
Oh my God, that's real. That's true.
Deep state of those awful elites, of Democrats, of everyone, right?
They're some of the real ones that they have. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Hire me. On to the next adventure. This year they're a little different. Would you like to see some of that?
I've seen this one before. The little bit he does.
Like, hide your weed, Mom and Dad. I'm coming home.
Oh yeah.
I'm Gen Z and I might possibly vote.
Might.
Not anti-Semitic. I just hate Jews. Oh, wow.
Oh God.
It's a very different year. They said I couldn't do it, and that's why I cheated.
Ooh, and it was a black
Ready
student.
to cancel speakers in the real world. And first I asked her why she had sex with Trump. Listen to that, and then listen to what she says after that, and then we're going to talk about the trial, because it's quite a variance of what she said to me in 2018.
Oh my God.
Why did you fuck Donald Trump? Okay, but you say it's not a Me Too case.
It is not a Me Too case. I mean, I wasn't assaulted. I wasn't attacked or raped or coerced or blackmailed. They tried to shove me in the Me Too box to further their own agenda. And first of all, I didn't want any part of that because it's not the truth, and I'm not a victim in that regard.
That's not what she's saying now.
Oh man.
She's talking about he was bigger and blocking the way. It's all the Me Too buzzwords. A porn star is used to having sex with people she does not know. That's the job. It's kind of like Stormy Bob Stormy, fuck. Action, and let's go, and we're losing the light. Sex with a Jew on Easter. You're right, they put in all those details on purpose, and I think your point is that it screwed them, right?
There was no reason why she had to go into these details about allegedly spanking him with a magazine.
I do like the spanking.
Well, in which case, Bill can give you her number.
No, because I like the symbolism of it, because in one version of the story, a disputed version, she's spanking him with a magazine that he's on the cover of.
Yeah.
And that.
You know, you make fun of the left a lot more than you used to. Yes, I do, because they're goofier and more obnoxious than they used to be. It doesn't mean I turned into a Republican. I haven't changed on that at all.
I give them that.
Just became weirder.
You give voters a full menu of information. You don't feed them baby bird style just what you think they can tolerate, right? Or what you want them to eat.
Right.
And then you let them make the decision. That's called a democracy.
Yeah, but what happens when you get a bunch of misinformation?
We're just meant to report the truth as we see it. Of course, it's editorializing. But this idea that it's like a team sport, if you want a team sport, go into politics. Don't be in journalism and the media.
But here's the thing
but it is like that.
We need to be honest about them both. We need not to ignore and sugarcoat Biden's shortcomings. But we also can't do this. Here's one bad story about Trump. Here's one bad story about Biden. We can't enforce this mathematical equivalence, right? You've got one candidate who has delusions or aspirations to a quasi-fascist state. You've got another who's going to mix up the name of world leaders and need a midday nap. It's not eeny, meeny, miny.
Yeah, you can't equate them, man. I'll give them that.
We have now a situation where people don't have different opinions. They have different facts. And so everything that you can say from 2016 if you're a Democrat, and from 2020 or if you're a Republican, or from this year on, is just a totally different set of facts, a totally different version of the history.
Okay, but
my worry is that you can't...
That's called the internet and social media.
yeah,
That's what I'm
only
talking
made it
about.
worse, of course.
no. I will not accept any results except unless our side wins. It's a fake
he won't.
election. So I think that is a very fundamental difference.
Look,
No, but in all honesty, you cannot compare saying Russia meddled, which, by the way, Russia did, with January 6th. You can't compare it.
No,
with,
but you can see it.
No, he's right.
Anyway, thank you guys, but I gotta
You
go.
will.
New rule, the celebrities who wear these ridiculous outfits to the Met Gala have to answer the question, how do you go to the bathroom?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's true.
New rule, someone has to ask the man who's in the news because he raised a 4-month-old lion and plays with it in his yard. You know how this ends, right?
Yeah. Just ask Sigmund Freud, or whatever his guy's name.
Yes, congratulations, my friend. You're going to be in the news again. One more time.
Last time.
And like everyone who imagines they can make a pet out of an apex predator, your last words will be, don't worry, he's just playing. New rule, between Kristi Noem saying she shot her dog and RFK saying he found a dead worm in his brain, politicians need to go back to lying.
They're being way too honest now.
When I hear a guy found a dead worm in his brain, it makes me think just one thing. You can stop asking me to try sushi.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I'm sure it's delicious, but I think the cavemen were onto something when they started cooking with fire. New rule, now that the Boy Scouts of America is changing its name to Scouting America, someone has to tell them that still sounds kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so. We're Scouting America for young boys. Yeah, that doesn't sound good either. New rule, don't be surprised these $800 designer jeans with a stain that looks like you pissed your pants are sold out. Hey, the kids love streaming. These pants say, I love Joe Biden so much I want to dress just like him.
Oh, man.
And finally, new rule, now that the campus protesters are finally packing up their tents and delousing their hair, if the headlines in your preferred news outlet routinely feature words like shreds, destroys, pummels, bashes, your outlet is a partisan piece of shit. Either that or you're reading a Batman comic. You're supposed to be a source for information, not Nikki Glaser at the Tom Brady roast. Oh, she was good.
She was really good.
Trust me, no one lighting a tire fire in Haiti is thinking, I wouldn't have done this under Trump, but given the weakness of the Biden administration, why not? Look, I have 10 fingers. You want to see me suddenly have 80% less?
This guy.
Never trust the initial reports. The media cares way more about being first than being right.
Yeah,
they love
that's
a
true.
scoop, but it's a scoop of shit because it always turns out to be wrong. This goes way back.
I don't know about always, but
Columbine? Remember that?
yeah.
The first...
I remember the shooting in El Paso, Texas. The initial reports were it was the cartel. Left and right, cartel. And then it turned out it wasn't.
People come up to me a lot these days, and they say, Bill, what are we going to do if he wins? They didn't even ever have to say who. I know who they mean. The guy who always looks like he's jerking off two guys when he dances.
Yeah. He's going to keep doing it till the election.
Fan favorite.
Yep.
Well, you know what? I don't know what we'll do if he wins, but my guess is we'll keep on living. Trump could absolutely blow up the world on day one of term two. He's a dangerous, erratic, insane, awful person, and I'd love to help him get not elected. But he didn't actually start World War III last time, or nuke a hurricane, or trade Puerto Rico for Greenland. Sure.
Yeah, he did say that.
At the airfield in Minneapolis.
All right. Follow me on Twitter. Same name. Catch you on the next one.